Yeah. Last class we discussed about method overriding, and we have come up with an architecture. We have even discussed about what architecture. So let's implement that. Class B1, which is parent class. Class D1, child class. D2 extends D1. This is grandchild class. Then here I have written a method called show. Console.writeLine from show of parent. Then here I write public new void show console.writeLine from show of child. Then in base here I write public virtual void display console.writeLine from display of parent. Here I have to override direct display. Remove this console.writeLine from display of child. Then base class. Here I write public virtual void retrieve console.writeLine from retrieve of parent. Come down. Here I shadow it. I don't overwrite, I'll shadow. Public new void retrieve console.writeLine from retrieve of child. Come down. D2 I won't write. D1 D equals to new D1 constructor. B1 B equals to D. D dot sorry B dot show B dot display B dot retrieve. So first one will be from base and last two sorry, first one will be from base, second will be from derived, third will also be from base. Yes, from show of parent, from display of child, from retrieve of parent. Two from parent, one from child. Now D2, grandchild. Here I override void show. Rule for overriding that in child class the method should be marked as virtual. Then we can override. Overridden method can be overridden directly. Display. Then retrieve. Public override retrieve. Console.writeLine from show of grandchild. Console.writeLine from display of grandchild. Console.writeLine from retrieve of grandchild. Then accessing. Now you create D2 DD new D2 constructor grandchild object. D1 triple D equals to double D. Triple D dot show triple D dot display triple D dot retrieve. All that it access will be from grandchild. dynamic bind. Here you should add virtual. That is the reason it is showing error in grandchild. Come down. Yes, execute. Last three are important. All are from grandchild. Show is from grandchild. Retrieve is from grandchild. All. Now, here for your reference, I'll write. This is static binding. This is dynamic binding. This is dynamic binding. These all are dynamic binding, dynamic binding, dynamic binding. One static, rest all are dynamic binding. And outputs also I write. From parent it is. From child it is. From parent. From grandchild. From grandchild. From grandchild. Yes. From show of grandchild, from display of grandchild, from retrieve of grandchild. That's it. Now, this is last class architecture which I covered. Connecting to it is your program. Now, today's class, we are going to study something related with the first sealed method and sealed class. SEALED. Sealed method, sealed class. So let's first make. Yes. And it is error. It is error. Why it is error? Read. B1.show means base class show cannot be sealed. Why? Because it is not an override, which means in C sharp only overridden methods can be sealed, not normal methods. Fine. That is one rule. So you have to remove this. Yes, only show you have it. Come down. See where is overridden method. That we will seal. Yeah, here. Now, in child class, display method is overridden method. That I will seal. See. An interesting thing that you could see now in this example is display is not an error. We are not getting error here for display method. We are not getting error. Why? Because you have sealed overridden method. That is one standard. Now another rule that we have is, what is the advantage of sealed method then? What is the advantage? What did you see a difference in when you seal a method? Answer is, whenever you sealed a method, that method again in next derived class you cannot override. Whenever a method is sealed, that method cannot be overridden in the next derived class. But in our example, grandchild class, already I have overridden display method. Confirm in grandchild class, display method is error. Yes, put your pointer. Cannot override. Cannot override. Reason? Because it is sealed. Because it is sealed. So what you have to do? Compulsory now. You have to keep some other name for this method. Some other name. Some different name you have to keep. Then only you can. Then only it becomes valid. Then only it is valid. Okay, that makes a point. Simple topic. Simple. Sealed method can be created or can be made or can be applied only to overridden methods. Once a method is sealed, that method cannot be overridden in next derived class. That's it. There is no much we have to study on this sealed method topic. Then we have another concept called sealed class. Sealed class. If I say sealed class, and what we learn is that particular class cannot be. So you have to make your class now what? Sealed class. So which class you want to make? B1 class is there, na? B1, that is our base class. That class I mark as sealed. So the moment you make your class as sealed, what we find is that particular class cannot be inherited to the next derived class. If you okay, if you what do you say? If you uh, override, if you sealed a method, so go on top now, go on top and mark this class as sealed. So somewhere here, class B1 sealed, class B1. Okay. Once I say class B1 sealed class B1, remember this makes a rule now. From this class cannot be inherited, cannot derive. From sealed class B1. Cannot derive from a sealed class called what? B1. That's what the message is. Okay, so you cannot. And rule is whenever you create a sealed class, that class individually gets access. You cannot make inheritance, and that class gets access individually. You cannot write virtual methods. You cannot write abstract methods in sealed class because for abstract methods required overriding. For our virtual methods require overriding. Means compulsory unit is required for them. Simple topic. Okay. Now let's go a little further. Now what we do, we'll see one small real-time scenario of this dynamic, static, whatever binding we studied. Okay. So what I do now, go on top, class employee, and I say public int id. Name, emp cell. Now three fields I created. All I make public. Public. Here I write get info. Second message. EMP name. EMP name equal to console.readline. Employee salary equal to double dot par console.readline. Three inputs I get. Now to get the output, obviously we write one other method. So I write here public void display, and I put here employee ID equals to plus EMP ID, EMP name equals to plus EMP name, EMP salary equal to plus EMP salary. Yes, come down. Now create an instance of employee class. E dot get info, that will input data. E dot display. This is normal program, and there is no logical stuff in this. One method you created to input data, one method you created for output data. No logic, nothing. Simple basic program I have created. Now if I run also, you could definitely experience the same. Even if I run now, no doubt the same output you'll get. Execute the code, control F5. 1001 ID name Ahmed, salary same. Basic program only we developed. Still I didn't introduce the real-time concept of virtual and override. Okay, now what to do? Now I have to introduce overriding. This is one simple and mostly used concept in real time. Now what I want to do is instead of writing e dot display as an method that is displaying output, what I want to do, console dot write line, direct e you write. Why to write display method and write again statement to print the value? Why don't you say direct console dot write line e? E is object. That object itself is containing those three values: ID, name, and salary. ID, name, and salary are ID, name, and salary are part of what? E. are part of E. But we don't know what and how it behaves. Will E returns ID, name, and salary what I gave for input, or does it go in a different way of execution? Chalo, right, try them. But display I'm not calling. Notice clearly, please. I wantedly remove display from here, remove display from here, and I have substituted object of employee class directly. And we don't know its behavior. Go for it. ID 1001 Ahmed 18900, enter. Yes. Simple analyzation now. I said console dot write line E object. But when I said object here, instead of displaying values that are available in that object, it started returning class name in the output. Why so? Because internally this object, that is employee class object, has been converted to string. Has been converted to what? String. Who converted? Write line took that point. Manually you want to do? Yes. Console dot write line. E dot to string. Here automatically it is converting to string, and here manually we are. And in both the cases you'll be returned by class name, not the values available in the object. Okay. So one is automatically converting to string, one I converted to string. But in both the cases, 1001 XYZ 4500, enter. Both the times output is class name only. Both the times. And one more thing to understand here, I said that what did I say? That your class object, to whichever class it is belonging to, when you go with what do you call typecasting conversion. So what it returns that class name to which it belongs. Object belongs to which class, that class name it will return. That is what is happening. But the question is, where from this toString method has come? There is no, I didn't write any toString method in our class. The question is, how do I get now values instead of getting class name? Instead of getting what? Class name. Question is, how do I get those values? So for that reason, what we have to do is, in our program, you have to override toString method. Chalo, right, we'll do that. Yes. Here I write public overwrite. ToString, yes, return ID. Now remove this part. Display method you remove. So where is ToString method? ToString method, from where did you get override? ToString method is available in base class of employee. ToString method, base class of employee. And what is your base class of employee? System.object. Okay. Now you have overridden. It means confirm now. Whenever a method is overridden, it means in base class that method is. Now if I run my code, after giving inputs, when I say E, automatically I said it will convert to string, and that method is called for execution. And it will return values. One is automatically getting called, one is manually getting. Now if I run my code, what do you find? What do you find? So ToString method in base class it is virtual. Now run the code. What you should get, I said, values. Control F5. Yes, input 1001. Enter. Enter. Yes. Just writing E only. Just writing E. Whatever data that was available in that object, all have been accessed. Right? So what it returns then? Output of three values. Okay? That's it. Now we are going to learn abstract class and abstract method. Abstract class and abstract method. That part we'll see now. Okay, delete all this. Now, first thing, what I do for abstract class, fundamental will cover. Then I'll go in detail of it. Class B1, one class I created. class D1 B1. Okay, D1 extends B1, base class child. I said in inheritance topic that inheritance topic I said that whenever we create instance of derived class, whenever we create what a instance of a derived class, and we know very well that derived class will be allocated by memory for all members of base and derived class instance. Derived class instance will what it will do, will allocate memory for all the members of base and derived class. If you create base class instance, if you create, then it will allocate memory only for the members of base class. Okay. So now what is our aim now? Derived class. Derived class instance will be allocated by memory to whom? Base class and derived class members, irrespective of what I said, access modifier. Similarly, if you create base class instance, then it will allocate memory only for base class members. It allocates memory only for base class members. So my point is, when derived class instance is getting allocated by memory of base and derived both, so why do you need again separate memory allocation for base class object? Why do you want? Simple. I'll show you here. D1 D new B1. This is instance of derived. B1 B new B1. This is instance of base. This is memory for all members B1 plus B1. This is memory for only B1. Point is, when you are creating derived class instance, here itself it has included. It has included memory for B1. Why do you again need this? So I don't want a user to create base class instance. Simple. Mark this class as abstract and it is error there. Yes, error. So yeah, that's it. Basic point of abstract class. Basic point of abstract class. Over. Now you cannot create instance of B1 class. Error. Cannot create an instance of abstract class. Error it is. Can you create variable? Variable, only variable. Yeah, you can create. Variable you can create. Instance we cannot create. Variable you can create of no use because to access members you require memory. And B base class memory you cannot allocate now. Now if you want to access, then you have to do one thing. Who has memory of B1? D object. D has memory of B1. Plus it has memory of its own also. Then we will ask it to share equal to D over. Now B can access its own members. Now. It's not allocating separate memory. Existing memory it is sharing. Existing memory means D's memory containing B1 members that D is sharing with B indirectly. B has an advantage. B can access its own members. Okay? But this is fundamental. Over. You want to compile and see? Go for it. Build. Demo. Successful. You didn't read any code. Success. Or else another approach. Instead of writing two lines allocating separate memory for D by writing one statement and again assigning that memory, sharing that memory with B. You have best and alternate way. What you can do, one line में code over now. Base class variable, derived class instance over. Combination of two lines is one line. Combination of two lines is single line. This is instance of derived object of base. Instance of derived object of a base. Same whatever I did here of writing two lines, alternate way I have written. Okay, this is one part over. Now we will go a little further. Right. Remember this point also. This is abstract base class. From this base class, D1 is Derived class. From which class it is derived? D1 is derived from which class? Answer is abstract base class. So D1, since it is being derived from abstract base class, you call D1 as concrete class. D1 is concrete class. Okay. Now let's go and talk on next part of abstract. Okay, here I write class math figure. One class I create. Class. And in this class I'm going to write public double dimension. Dimension is my base field. Then I'll write public double area method public double perimeter. Yes, definitely you'll get error because I'm not returning anything there. Because return type I mentioned, no? Return type I specified as double. So compulsory that method should have return statement. I didn't write. That's the reason we are getting error. So now that doesn't matter. We'll rectify that error later. Come down. From this class math figure, I am going to create one derived class called circle extends math figure. Okay, this is child class of math figure. Class square math figure. Okay. This is circle class, square class. Those methods I shadow it. Here also I shadow. But I'll write coding here. I'll write both methods. I'll write. Yes. Here I write return area of circle. Area of circle. Pi r square. So I better say here math dot pi into dimension into dimension. Perimeter. Return 2 into math dot pi into dimension. That is 2 pi r. Here also I'll write square, area of square, side into side, perimeter of square formula, 4 into side. But so when there is a code available, I have written it. There is a formula, So I have mentioned there is a formula. I have mentioned there is a formula. I have mentioned. I have mentioned. But here in math figure class, I have written area and perimeter methods for which I don't have code. What should I write? Or what should I return when there is no formula available? So obviously those two methods are of no use for me now. Both methods are of both methods are what? We don't have code to write in it. And I don't have anything to return also. So now question is, when there is no code for you to write in it except console.writeLine, and when there is no formula available, so do one thing then. Remove these blocks, no? Why to write unnecessary? Don't put flower brackets when there is no code available. And do one thing. Terminate these methods by semicolon. Why? Because I don't have code. Simple answer. But interesting thing, the moment I removed flower brackets, the moment I removed and the moment I terminated by semicolon, now area and perimeter both it shows error. Both it shows error. Both of them. Area also error, perimeter is also error. Both of them. Why? Because it's a rule in C# that whenever you create a method, that method should have a body. Body, open flower bracket, close flower bracket, content should be there in it. You didn't write. That's the reason you get an error. And now what I will do, I want these methods to have only to be created terminating by semicolon. And I want these methods to be dependent on them. So I add now abstract. Yes, here also I add abstract. Yes, yes. Both methods I created as abstract. Both methods. Now remember, abstract method cannot have body. Normal method should have body. Normal method. Abstract method cannot have body. Two comparisons are there. Abstract method cannot have body. Normal method cannot be terminated by semicolon. Error. Cannot have body no. Here. Cannot declare a body. Cannot declare a body means you cannot put flower brackets for abstract method. Then what you can do? Only point you have to terminate by semicolon. And whenever you terminate a method by semicolon, it is method declaration or signature. Method declaration or signature. Signature. Is it not looks like now in this way? Now is it not look like a rule? Signature. This is called method signature. And rule now. What is the rule? Whenever class contains compulsory. Class should also be marked as abstract. See, both errors are gone just by writing abstract to class. Now question, two queries. First they'll ask, are abstract methods compulsory in abstract class? Are abstract methods compulsory in abstract class? No, no. Is abstract class compulsory for abstract methods? Yes. Abstract methods not required in abstract class. But for abstract method, abstract class is compulsory. Two different points, don't get confused. Two different points I'm talking about. Should be cautious when that query is asked. Should have keen observation when this question is asked in interviews. Just like that, you should not analyze the things. That makes a difference. So what is that question? First question, what did I say? Are abstract methods compulsory in abstract class? Answer is no. Then second question. For abstract methods, is abstract class compulsory? Yes. Two different things. Two different approaches. Okay. Now another important thing is when you create abstract methods, compulsory those methods bodies will be there always in direct class. This method body is in direct class and compulsory this method should have overridden process. Override. Override. See, error is gone from circle. Now still error is there for square. Here also you write override. Here also you write over. Gone. Now perfect. Every code is perfect. Still a lot to study on this part. We'll stop the session here. I'll continue.